Yo, what's up? Let's get it. It's your boy Karceno in the house. Whew. Man, I wish I was here under better terms, better circumstances, better, whatever. But and what I mean by better, I mean like we shouldn't be under this umbrella, you know? It should be a lot better than this. You feel me? It should be a lot better. Now, I don't know how many times we have seen this played out before us, and we touched on it a little bit, but we really didn't go into the depths of like what's really wrong with a lot of these so-called independent men. Like they're supposed to be men. You feel me? Like it's supposed to be men out here. Men. They're supposed to conduct themselves in a professional manner, right? But when did sportscasters who now want to become podcasters, so they want to be on TV getting money, then they want to come to the internet and get your money? That's the new game now. There ain't never enough money for them to make. They said we gonna go on national TV, get us a TV deal, then we gonna get us a radio deal on the internet to cut out all the YouTubers who are getting their money. Stephen A., I don't know your mother, but I know you loved your mother. I would never deny you not loving your mother. But to me, if she had to sit back and actually watch what you do on a regular basis to black men, I don't know if she would be proud. Who are you to tell another black man who's retired, by the way, telling him there is certain stuff you just can't do? Not when you're working in a corporate America, damn sure. Not when you're working for Disney and ESPN. Don't act like you didn't know what the moral clause is. First off, he probably did. Paul Pierce hadn't been an analyst long on ESPN. This is your field. You came in as a journalist. You didn't play ball. Paul Pierce played ball for a living. He didn't feel what he was doing that night crossed the morality clause. He claims, this is out of Stephen A.'s mouth, you look like you had a lot of strippers in your house. You have some weed going on everywhere in, alcohol and all this other stuff. You may find it funny. I don't. I find it kind of sad, to be quite honest with you. That that irritates the living hell out of me. Why would it irritate you? Because you're talking about an incident. Which incident are you talking about? The one with Kevin Garnett and what he did on the show? Or when he was working there, because he does not work for ESPN. He hasn't worked for ESPN for about a year or 2 years now. So why all of a sudden now You want to talk about a former colleague and talking about you can't do that working for Disney. He didn't care. He didn't fight for the job and said, hey, man, why can't you just like, whatever. Paul Pierce don't need to work for ESPN. He's good. So when you see all of the things that everyone else is doing that are black, who made you the junkyard dog to come out and start berating black men, grown black men moving the way they move? Paul Pierce is a grown man. Everything he did was legal. That night that you kept talking about, he's getting a haircut. There's girls just twerking in the background. They weren't making out. He was getting a haircut, sitting in a chair, playing cards, and drinking liquors and smoking stogies. Weed is legal there. But yeah, okay. Disney said that's not a good look for them, even though it's on his Instagram. They're going to have to let him go. He didn't get a suspension. He got let go. You, by all means, has done things at ESPN that the company felt wasn't right. When you defended Ray Rice, they suspended you. And I should have been suspended. Yep, I did wrong and I should have been suspended. They were every right to suspend me. And that was your last day ever being a black man. From that point on, you have been a bootlicking, shuffling, and jiving and giving what a stereotypical white person would think a black man is supposed to be. And if anybody does anything of the opposite, here come they junkyard dog to call them out. Who told you they boss? That's what I want to know. Who told you they need you to do that? Quit saying that's my brother. They're not your brother. Because you know what happened is once he said all this garbage, I saw other black men spew this stupidity out their mouth, so I know they watched Stephen A. Smith. That's his brother, his teammate. He ain't gonna say much on camera. I love to hear what he said to him off the camera because Kevin Garnett ain't one to tolerate this kind of nonsense. That's how you want to be seen. You want the image of you being with a drink in your hand surrounded by strippers and pulling out your phone to summon women that you paid for with alcohol or weed always around you, slurring your speech. You mean too much to the game of basketball. It's embarrassing. Come on, bro. You're better than that. Look, if Paul Pierce wants to enjoy his life the way he wants to enjoy his life, let him. He's not harming anyone. Paul Pierce actually increased the ratings of Kevin Garnett's show. Paul Pierce actually was chilling. He wasn't smoking weed on the show. So why did you bring up weed? He was smoking a stogie. And even though weed and all this stuff is now legal in California, He wasn't smoking weed. He was smoking a stogie. How do you know he paid for it? He just said, call up some work, call up some girls. That's all he said. He means too much to the game of basketball. The game of basketball that didn't even give him a farewell tour. His time in basketball is up. He's not living off that. Paul Pierce he can get right now, Stephen A. He can get a show right now the way it's set up. He can go to FanDuel, Barstools, and get him a show. While you talking about how egregious it is, white dudes is coming on the door. The white people with money is knocking on the door saying, here's the bag for you to just be you, Paul Pierce. He got deals on the table, and he'll end up making more than you being the junkyard dog gatekeeper.
Troop in the building. Troop in the building. Troop in the building.
Absolutely. Now, let's turn our attention to the other situation in the room. And here's the situation in the room. We have Paul Pierce. My brother, if you want to do that, do that. But tell me, Stephen A., why does you never have this energy for the other side? Oh, what do I mean, you might ask? I'm glad you asked. I'm glad you asked. What do I mean? Because I want to tell you what do I mean. Does anybody remember a man named Pat McAfee? Huh? Pat McAfee, who was a kicker for the Colts at one point, who's now become America's sports analyst when he barely discusses sports, had a much better career than his NFL career. Now he's got his hair all moosed up, looking like a damn infomercial speaker now, wearing new suits. So his new ESPN deal, which will appear on ESPN Plus, he's leaving FanDuel, in which Stephen A. Smith show is on. Your FanDuel show that you had. Now the details to Pat McAfee's show being picked up by ESPN are out. He's going to be getting $17 million a year. You know what that means? He's going to be getting more than you. $85 million over the next 5 years. It's perceived to be a pay cut because FanDuel was paying him $120 over 5. But he's got a little bit more interesting. Because that 85 is not quite right. It just looks like that. It actually increases as the years go on. But he will be making $17 million a year, more than you. How disrespectful is that when you've been the face and the logo basically for ESPN, right? You have been a staple for ESPN. You had to bounce from show to show. Let's see if they get Pat McAfee to do NBA Countdown. Let's see if they get him to do Sports Center. Let's see if they get McAfee to do anything else other than the Pat McAfee show. Now, did you hate on him? Did you say, no? Exactly, you didn't. You didn't hate on him at all. You wanted Max Kellerman off the show because he made you seem not smart. Let's talk about that. Max Kellerman had to get off the show because he made you seem simple. Where some of the words that you use and the way you speak is very endearing to some black people. You're able to make them believe that you're the smartest guy in the room. But to Max, he knows you just full of it. And you can't have a guy on the show that knows you full of it. He gots to go. Like this one band, they were so terrible. They knew they were bad. But the one girl who didn't know anything, she was just learning about rock music. She was loving them. She was a fan of a rock band. That's all she knew. And they were like, we got to keep her around because she don't know we suck. We got our first groupie. And that was telling. Very telling. Now, let's get to the gist of it because a lot of people want to talk about the deal. Pat McAfee's contract, he got complete creative control over the content of his show, which means ESPN cannot come in and say, hey, we want you to do this, we want you to do that. He's able to invite any personality from any other network. He negotiated that. He can have a regular guest on FanDuel, but works for NFL Network, and it completely, is in direct competition with Adam Scheffler's NFL Insider. Well, see, ESPN gets like 230, like they full produced shows per year to advertise against, and McAfee will get even more eyes on his program, which is likely to bring in more viewers at ESPN than it did on FanDuel. So when you open up that door and you open up Pandora's box, this is going to be a huge deal for McAfee and his show. Right? Right. It's no hate on it. I'm just saying, this man is able to be treated as an individual. This man was able to be judged as an individual. This man was able to be literally ambushed by no one. He was able to get this deal. Nobody said anything about him being a hater or how did he get this deal over Stephen A. Stephen A., you didn't get this. Stephen A. had to come out and eat crow for that man. And let's get to JJ Rhetoric. Now, JJ Rhetoric always corrects you, don't he? Like, it's not your show. He comes in and corrects you and make you sound like a child when he speaks to you. But if Jay Williams says something, Oh, he got to respect you because he's a black man. Who made you the godfather of all black men? If you don't want Jay Williams to check you on the show, how are you okay with the white man checking you on the show? Make that make sense. And JJ Rhetoric, he makes good points when he's checking you because he knows you don't know what the hell you're talking about. So all his points on you is right. But JJ Rhetoric, I know about you. So you can't fool me, JJ Rhetoric. That you can get away with everybody else. Can't get away with me. Because I hear you. And I'm watching. But I'm serious. I ain't stopping. So what up? What up, JJ Rhetoric? Let's have that conversation, shall we? Oh, I think we need to. Oh, JJ Rhetoric decided it would be in his infinite wisdom because he was sitting with Doris Burke. And Doris Burke was having this conversation about women's basketball and women's sports. And all of a sudden, JJ Rhetoric is sitting there. And JJ Rhetoric starts going off that he believes it's some toxic masculinity. Ooh, that is playing a part in why women's sports can't go to the levels it should be at. Now, I find that very interesting, ladies and gentlemen, because here's the simple facts. Nobody promotes the WNBA more than men. Let me get you to understand this moronic statement. When something isn't successful, that's supposed to be a women's basketball organization, they blame men. Hey, don't you see that that's weird? I would sit there and look at JJ Rhetoric and say, JJ, what in the hell is wrong with you? You believe that toxic masculinity, that's what's holding it back. No, that's what y'all using to sell it. And that's why it is not where it should be. You're blaming men when men are going out advertising it for you. But the WNBA wasn't created for men. Y'all created it for women. And the fact is that the girls are not that interested. The majority of the girls want to see guys play basketball. Okay? So a lot of girls that don't want to play sports. They want to do other things in sports, not basketball. But some do. And those are the ones that support it. But when you try to force it down people's throats and throw the blame game out, you make it obsolete. How many WNBA games do you cover, JJ Rhetoric? How many do you attend? I don't remember seeing JJ Rhetoric at any WNBA game. I could be wrong. Never seen him. Never seen him on the show saying, hey, let's make this a topic today. Let's bring up a WNBA game. Man, the Storm really killed it tonight. We don't never hear that come out of your mouth, JJ Rhetoric. But when it's time to play the blame game, you're going to throw men under the bus. Unless you mean you, maybe you should shut up. You see, they love to blame men for that. And NBA players promote WNBA players more than the NBA was promoting it, which is a male-ran organization. So if you want to be completely feminine and blame all the men, then fine. Get your platform on a female-based ran organization. Why don't all the females band together? So if the WNBA ain't working, get your alphabet rainbow crew to support it, because they don't. Get your female groups to support it, because they don't. If this is your league, stop turning them in for your problems. And in actuality, this is one of the best years the WNBA has had. So what toxic masculinity are you talking about? Women's sports were up. Now, I was more than satisfied. I was more than entertained by the notion of not having LeBron James involved in this NBA Finals. And it did great for the numbers in the NBA Finals to indicate, wow, we don't need to cater to one bum. No, you don't. The game was built on team. Why can't the team mean something? Why can't the two teams that earned the right to be there compete? Instead of saying we need to focus it around a superstar and market the superstar to death, and then we're overselling a generic product, a de facto product. You see, that's one of our flaws as a people. We buy into the BS. And people say, man, you make a lot of enemies for no reason. No, when I make an enemy, it's for a reason. It's for a reason. Now, me just talking about the conditions and what we're going through, I don't think that is a major problem. I don't view it as that. Someone else can, but I don't. I view it differently. So if anybody else want to see or go through a certain pattern or a certain behavior process, that's fine. That's on them. They have their right to do so. Me, I move under different tropes. So I don't really engage in the nonsense of it, if you know what that means. So I want to say thank y'all for definitely hit that like button. Shouts out to Ticket TV. Welcome to HD TV. Oh yeah, Dreamers Pro. Shouts out to him. Seahawks, Jose Rodriguez. Thanks to everybody that came up in my panel. Appreciate it. We'll talk more about Shannon Sharp's exit, what it means, what was really going on behind the scenes, and all of it. As the end of Undisputed as we know it is over. But what we also know is over is the way the show used to be. So Skip Bayless is now undisputed. It's your boy Karceno saying, don't forget to follow the Patreon. The Karceno for Life Patreon. We're going to get into it. And we're going to let stuff be known. So I'm out. Like a scout on a new route.
Troop in the building. Troop in the building.